Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Greatness doesn't come from talent, luck, or comfort. It comes from being broken by failure, pain, and rejection, and choosing to rebuild stronger each time. Stoicism teaches that what seems like destruction is actually formation. Most people avoid breaking. They fear collapse because they confuse it with ending, but collapse is only the removal of what was weak. Breaking is how life tests the strength of your structure. The Stoic understands that what falls apart was never built on truth. Each fracture exposes where illusion held things together. In that exposure, a chance is given to rebuild without the lies, without the softness, without dependence. To be broken is not to lose yourself, but to begin discovering what cannot be destroyed. When the world strips away comfort, image, and certainty, what remains is the raw form of who you are. The pain that comes after breaking is not punishment, it is purification. It teaches what must stay and what must never return. Every Stoic knew this. Greatness is not the preservation of what you have, but the mastery of how you rebuild when everything is gone. The person who endures breaking without bitterness begins to understand real power, because once you have been shattered and still rise, you no longer fear anything that can fall. We will discuss 5 things that must be broken before you can rebuild and become a new, upgraded version of yourself. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Break emotional indulgence. Every person carries storms within. Anger, fear, anxiety, guilt, envy. Each has the power to seize command of the mind and drive it into chaos. The Stoic path begins by facing this inner turbulence and refusing to let it dictate action. Discipline under emotion is the first architecture of greatness. Without it, no principle holds. The person who cannot rule their reactions remains a servant to impulse. Emotion itself is not the enemy. It is information, raw, unfiltered, sometimes violent, but always revealing. The Stoic does not seek numbness, they seek governance. When emotion strikes, they pause. That pause is power. It transforms instinct into choice. The goal is not to feel less, but to respond better. Mastery begins with that gap between impulse and act. Breaking emotional indulgence means severing the habit of drowning in feeling. It is easy to collapse under rage or despair because indulgence feels alive, even righteous. But indulgence has no direction. It burns energy without creation. To the Stoic, every emotion must justify its use. Does it serve virtue? Does it strengthen will? If not, it is dismissed. This audit of feeling is the beginning of freedom. The process of breaking begins with awareness. Notice what triggers you, what words, what tones, what failures spark reaction. Write them down. Track them like an investigator. Emotion becomes manageable when seen clearly. What hides in shadow controls you. What is observed loses its grip. The Stoic studies themselves with precision. The next step is containment. When emotion rises, the rule is to delay expression. Count your breaths, loosen the body. Reclaim posture. The body often controls the mind more than the mind controls the body. A clenched jaw signals battle. A slow exhale signals control. This is not performance. It is biological strategy. The Stoic uses physiology as defense. Once containment is secured, interpretation begins. Ask, what does this emotion demand? Anger demands correction of injustice. Fear demands protection. Grief demands acceptance. The Stoic isolates the function, fulfills it rationally, and discards the residue. They do not act from emotion, but through it, transforming energy into direction. To break indulgence, one must reject identity built around feeling. Many say, I am an angry person, or I am anxious by nature. These are stories of surrender. The Stoic refuses self-labels that glorify weakness. They replace them with actions. I am practicing calm. I am training focus. I am learning endurance. This language reshapes the mind's allegiance. Rebirth begins when the mind learns to rebuild itself after collapse. When emotion tears through stability, the Stoic reconstructs from fragments. They begin small, one decision, one behavior, one act of control. The goal is not to restore what was lost, but to rise clearer. Pain becomes a blueprint. Every recovery teaches resilience. Breaking emotional indulgence also demands detachment from the desire for constant positivity. Many pursue happiness as if sadness were failure. The Stoic rejects that illusion. Life contains the full spectrum, and mastery means equilibrium, not elation. To stay even when fortune turns is the proof of stability. Emotional indulgence often hides behind self-expression. People justify venting as honesty, but Stoicism sees it as waste. Expression without purpose drains strength. Speak when it builds, remain silent when it doesn't. Discipline in speech is the extension of discipline in thought. The modern world encourages indulgence. It rewards outrage, celebrates reaction, monetizes attention. To be calm is to be unfashionable. Yet calm is the highest rebellion. The Stoic who remains composed in an age of hysteria holds invisible authority. Their restraint commands respect. Their steadiness stabilizes others. The practice of containment sharpens presence. The mind that no longer oscillates with every emotional shift becomes efficient. Decisions come cleaner. Work deepens. Relationships simplify. Energy once wasted on reaction fuels progress. Emotional mastery multiplies time. Every moment of anger or despair can become training. When insulted, test restraint. When anxious, test breath control. When disappointed, test gratitude. Each test reinforces neural discipline. The Stoic treats emotion as weight training for the soul. In relationships, breaking indulgence protects respect. Instead of meeting aggression with aggression, the Stoic anchors in stillness. This breaks the cycle of escalation. Power grows quietly in that restraint. The person ruled by emotion is predictable. The disciplined person is unreadable. That unpredictability is strategic advantage. Self-respect deepens when reaction ends. To act out of control creates shame. To remain centered creates pride. Each controlled response builds internal capital. Over time, the mind trusts itself. Confidence becomes not belief, but evidence. Breaking indulgence does not mean emotional poverty. It means abundance through order. When emotion is harnessed, it becomes drive, creativity, compassion. Controlled anger reforms injustice. Guided sorrow teaches empathy. Contained fear sharpens preparation. Every feeling has purpose once disciplined. To sustain mastery, ritualize reflection. Each night, review the day. What emotion governed you? What moment did you waste on reaction? What moment did you command? Record patterns. See improvement. Stoicism is not theory. It is measurable practice. The Stoic knows that the greatest danger is inner chaos. No enemy outside can harm more than a storm inside. When emotional indulgence ends, self-sabotage ends. The person becomes a fortress. Calm is armor. Clarity is weaponry. Physical training reinforces this discipline. Hard exercise teaches the body to endure discomfort without panic. This endurance transfers to emotional pain. When breath burns and muscles ache, the mind learns to stay functional under distress. Stoicism is lived through the body as much as the mind. Diet and rest influence emotion. Poor sleep shortens patience. Bad nutrition amplifies irritability. The Stoic protects these fundamentals as sacred. They understand that philosophy fails without physiology. Stability is built through chemistry as much as character. The modern Stoic uses tools wisely, journaling and breath training. These are not trends, they are instruments of control. The rule remains: tools must serve discipline, not dependency. Practice must not become identity. Breaking indulgence also means rejecting the culture of complaint. Constant venting corrodes resilience. The Stoic addresses issues through solution, not sympathy. They speak in terms of correction, not consolation. This cultivates self-reliance. The transformation from indulgence to mastery is visible. The face softens, the tone lowers, the breathing steadies, movement becomes deliberate. People sense composure before words are spoken. This quiet authority cannot be faked. The Stoic learns to measure progress by recovery speed. The goal is not never to fall, but to rise faster each time. Emotional indulgence clings to pain. Stoic discipline converts pain into propulsion. Each recovery tightens structure. Every collapse is a rehearsal for control. When a person loses temper, they have seen the crack. When they recover, they have sealed it stronger. Repetition makes the seal permanent. Over years, volatility disappears. Calm becomes baseline. The mind disciplined under emotion gains an uncommon advantage. It sees clearly while others are blinded by reaction. It negotiates better, leads better, teaches better. This calm does not mean passivity, it means precision. It strikes only when required. To remain composed under provocation is not weakness, it is command. Weakness screams, strength decides. The Stoic silence is not retreat, but assessment. Every second they do not react, they gather control. In time, this becomes instinct. Rebirth through emotion is achieved when pain no longer distorts perception. What once felt unbearable becomes useful. The person can now walk through chaos without losing posture. This is the Stoic ideal: serenity amid disorder. Greatness requires emotional architecture built through breaking. Each storm survived adds new reinforcement. The foundation becomes unshakable. When external events collapse, the internal framework holds that endurance is greatness itself. The disciplined mind becomes a stabilizing force for others. Its calm diffuses panic. Its steadiness inspires trust. Leadership emerges naturally from self-mastery. People follow the one who cannot be rattled. To break indulgence is to become immune to manipulation. Media, peers, and critics lose influence. The Stoic reacts only to reason, not to noise. This independence is freedom. No external force can pull the strings of a still mind. Emotional mastery transforms adversity into initiation. Pain becomes a doorway to growth, not a barrier. The person learns to meet discomfort with curiosity, not fear. They see challenge as material for building strength. Each day brings opportunities to practice. Traffic delays, arguments, setbacks. The untrained see inconvenience. The Stoic sees rehearsal. Every irritation becomes a moment of sharpening. Breaking indulgence reaches its higher form through acceptance without collapse. When loss arrives, the Stoic grieves cleanly, without despair. They allow sorrow its space, but deny it the throne. In this steady posture, endurance matures into renewal, preparing the mind for the deeper layers of mastery yet to come. Emotional discipline does not emerge from theory. It is forged through repetition. Each emotional surge becomes a test of readiness. The Stoic trains the same way an athlete does, under resistance. When irritation arrives, they slow speech. When panic threatens, they slow breath. When offense tempts, they hold posture. Each act is a controlled rep in strengthening composure. To understand emotion, study its structure. It begins with perception, an external event interpreted by memory. Then comes judgment, the mind's labeling of that event as good or bad. Finally comes impulse, the body's call to act. The Stoic inserts reason at the judgment stage. They refuse to assign moral weight to the event itself. By altering interpretation, they intercept reaction before it becomes behavior. This interception defines mastery. A disciplined mind does not suppress feeling. It edits its narrative. When insulted, the untrained say, "I am disrespected." The Stoic says, "An opinion has been spoken." The first enslaves emotion. The second neutralizes it. Precision in language dissolves intensity. The trained Stoic practices micro-interventions. They rehearse responses for common triggers: traffic, criticism, delay, rejection. Each scenario becomes simulation. Preparation replaces surprise. The prepared mind cannot be hijacked by sudden emotion. Morning ritual frames the day's posture. Before entering the noise, the Stoic sets internal order through reflection and breath. 10 slow inhales anchor awareness. A short review of principles, control, virtue, endurance, reminds the mind of its duty. This conditioning preempts chaos. Throughout the day, attention is maintained through observation drills. The Stoic watches themselves as though watching another. They note tone, gesture, and breath. When agitation rises, they identify it by name. Naming breaks possession. It returns command to reason. Evening discipline seals progress. Review moments of reaction without judgment. Identify what provoked, how you answered, and what rule might prevent reoccurrence. The day's emotion becomes tomorrow's material for construction. Each review strengthens the architecture of restraint. Physical ritual reinforces emotional governance. The Stoic trains not only for strength, but for composure under fatigue. Controlled exertion teaches the nervous system that discomfort is survivable. Every heavy lift, cold immersion, or endurance set is a lesson in remaining operational while under pressure. Nutrition and recovery amplify command. Caffeine, alcohol, and sugar alter emotional baseline. The disciplined individual monitors their chemistry with the same precision they monitor thought. A calm mind cannot live in a chaotic body. Technology management is another frontier of emotional mastery. The Stoic disables non-essential alerts, avoids morning scrolls, and sets defined digital windows. The goal is sovereignty over attention. Uncontrolled input is emotional pollution. The clear mind controls its feed. Rebuilding after emotional collapse demands a plan. When breakdown occurs, retreat to fundamentals: breath control, movement, stillness, reflection. Do not negotiate with emotion. Direct it. Command posture before philosophy. Once the body obeys, the mind follows. The Stoic maintains an internal code of phrases, anchors that interrupt indulgence. Examples: hold, stay clean, within control, return to task. These verbal cues collapse emotional spirals into singular focus. Simple language, consistent use, immediate reset. The goal is not suppression but translation. Anger becomes action toward improvement. Fear becomes data for preparation. Sorrow becomes appreciation. Each emotion is alchemy, the conversion of raw energy into disciplined output. Observe how emotion distorts time. Under distress, minutes feel eternal. Under pleasure, they vanish. The Stoic stabilizes perception by tracking breath cycles. 10 breaths mark 1 unit of calm. This anchors awareness to the present, where reason lives. Emotional indulgence thrives in fantasy. It feeds on stories of what should have been or what might happen. The Stoic rejects both illusions. They return to what is. Facts over imagination, action over speculation. The now becomes the only territory where power exists. Language hygiene supports emotional order. The disciplined avoid exaggeration. No, always. No, never. These words create absolute emotions. Replace them with precision. Sometimes, rarely, this instance. Control begins in vocabulary. Control also extends to posture. The way one stands influences the way one feels. Shoulders back, chest open, chin steady. These positions signal dominance to the nervous system. The Stoic uses body mechanics as armor. Weak posture invites chaos. Strong posture generates clarity. Sleep discipline is emotional discipline. Exhaustion amplifies reaction. The Stoic guards bedtime as strictly as meditation. They understand that rest is moral preparation. Without recovery, virtue deteriorates into irritation. Silence is another tool. In argument, the untrained rush to win. The Stoic waits. Silence shifts pressure. It exposes noise in the opponent and sharpens hearing in oneself. Measured words carry more force than impulsive speech. To master emotion, practice reframing adversity as exercise. When the meeting fails, when the deal falls, when the insult lands, recognize training. Life provides scenarios. Philosophy provides method. The Stoic thanks both. Study of ancient writings supports emotional recalibration. Marcus Aurelius wrote reminders to himself, not proclamations. Epictetus taught control through humility. Seneca wrote letters on composure under power. Reading their words daily recenters perspective. Their calm becomes contagious through repetition. Emotional control strengthens relationships. It transforms conversation from reaction to understanding. The Stoic listens with intent, speaks with restraint, and never argues to dominate. Influence replaces aggression. Respect replaces intimidation. In leadership, composure builds trust. Teams follow those who remain unshaken. In family, composure nurtures stability. Children and partners mirror calm. The Stoic becomes the axis around which chaos settles. When emotion overwhelms, step into physical order. Tidy the space, align the desk, clean the environment. External order restores internal symmetry. The smallest act of organization interrupts emotional drift. The disciplined mind measures progress through calm under repetition. The situation that once triggered fury becomes neutral. That neutrality is victory. It proves evolution without announcement. Detachment from praise is as vital as detachment from insult. Compliments can intoxicate as much as criticism wounds. The Stoic accepts both as noise. Their self-measurement rests on alignment with principle, not approval. Meditation sharpens observation. Sit without agenda. Watch the mind's movement. Label the emotions as they arise. This is not escape. It is reconnaissance. You learn the terrain of your own psychology, so it can no longer ambush you. Journaling follows meditation as the second instrument. Write objectively. What was felt? What triggered it? What was chosen? Avoid adjectives. Use verbs. Emotion becomes manageable when treated as data. Writing converts turbulence into structure. Gratitude rewires perception. Each morning, identify 3 stable things: breath, opportunity, will. This shifts attention from lack to possession. Emotional indulgence withers when gratitude feeds discipline. The Stoic uses environment as reinforcement. Place reminders, quotes, symbols, physical anchors, where attention drifts. Each visual cue recalls control. The mind, trained by repetition, returns automatically to composure. Control is not constant. It is recalibrated hourly. The disciplined reset often. Short pauses between tasks. A few breaths before entering a meeting. A stretch before responding. These moments act as checkpoints against indulgence. Beware the subtle indulgence of intellectual emotion, moral outrage, superiority, pride in restraint. Even calm can become vanity. The Stoic audits intent continually. Virtue loses purity when practiced for display. To endure without complaint is not silence born of fear, but silence born of strength. The Stoic endures loudly only in results. Their proof of mastery is the absence of volatility. True breaking occurs when the old reflexes no longer return. The mind reaches a threshold where reaction seems foreign. What once triggered collapse now triggers analysis. This is transformation, instinct replaced by discipline. In this refined state, emotion remains, but it bends to will. Like a river confined by strong banks, it flows with power yet within limits. The Stoic stands at the helm, steering current toward purpose. Each controlled wave confirms the victory of structure over storm. Chapter 2. Break the illusion of control. Control is the most persistent illusion. Every human seeks to command what cannot be possessed: the behavior of others, the outcomes of effort, the timing of events. The Stoic exposes this illusion early. To master life, one must separate what is truly within control from what is not. This distinction is the dividing line between peace and turmoil. The mind craves certainty. It believes that with enough planning and precision, it can secure outcomes. But life is a system of variables, not guarantees. The Stoic learns to shift focus from prediction to preparation. They do not seek to control the wind, they adjust the sail. This is the art of command without delusion. Breaking the illusion of control begins with identifying where energy is wasted. Worrying about reputation, guessing future success, resenting others' behavior. These are acts of false control. Each drains focus. The disciplined individual reclaims this energy by confining attention to effort, execution, and judgment. When the mind accepts that events are indifferent but responses are sovereign, calm replaces agitation. The person who demands a perfect world becomes restless. The one who demands perfect conduct from themselves becomes powerful. The Stoic sets standards for action, not for fate. The illusion of control hides in language. Phrases like should have and must happen expose resistance to reality. The Stoic replaces them with I will act and I will endure. Words shape posture. The disciplined person edits speech until it aligns with acceptance. Every external dependency is a potential chain. The Stoic audits attachments, wealth, position, approval, and measures how tightly each grips the mind. To hold without clinging is freedom. Ownership without obsession is strength. In work, control fixation destroys creativity. When outcomes dominate focus, innovation dies. The Stoic creates from duty, not demand. They care deeply for craft, but not for applause. They measure success by execution, not reception. This detachment from result refines mastery. Life's uncertainty becomes a teacher. When plans unravel, the Stoic asks, "What is this moment training?" Adversity ceases to be sabotage. It becomes curriculum. Each disruption reveals where rigidity hides. The mind that adapts thrives. The mind that resists suffers. Breaking control requires humility before nature. Storms, illness, loss, and time are not enemies. They are reminders of scale. The Stoic bows to these forces without submission. They acknowledge nature's rule, yet retain sovereignty over choice. Discipline of response forms the counterweight to surrender. Acceptance without action is passivity. Action without acceptance is panic. The Stoic moves through both, clear about what is theirs to command, tranquil about what is not. This union of serenity and motion defines Stoic strength. A practical exercise: divide paper into 2 columns. In the left, list every current problem. In the right, mark whether each is within control. Cross out all external concerns. What remains is your field of power. Direct every ounce of energy there. Repeat weekly until reaction becomes selection. In leadership, control illusion manifests as micromanagement. The Stoic leader builds systems, not surveillance. They delegate with clarity, trusting process over paranoia. True authority multiplies by empowerment, not domination. At home, illusion hides in relationships. The Stoic does not try to shape another's nature. They offer example, not enforcement. Influence born of integrity outlasts influence born of pressure. When others act poorly, the Stoic refines their own conduct. This inward redirection preserves peace. In health, illusion appears as fear of decline. The Stoic trains, eats and rests as duty, not insurance. They understand that the outcome, aging, injury, mortality, remains outside command. Their focus is on stewardship of the present body. Control means care, not permanence. Technology tempts the mind into false mastery. Notifications, metrics, analytics, they simulate control. The Stoic uses these tools but does not worship them. Data informs, it does not dictate. The moment numbers drive emotion, detachment is lost. To master response, the Stoic practices anticipatory thought. They visualize potential disruptions before they occur. This is not pessimism, it is rehearsal. When disruption arrives, the mind has already walked the path. The result is composure under surprise. Freedom emerges from narrow focus. The disciplined life is not smaller, it is sharper. By limiting concern to what can be shaped, the Stoic expands efficiency. Chaos outside loses leverage. Every minute spent resisting the uncontrollable is stolen from excellence. The illusion of control often disguises pride. People wish to believe they can bend outcomes because it flatters ego. The Stoic dismantles this pride through honest inventory. They remind themselves daily, I control my reason, not the world. This humility protects from arrogance and despair alike. The modern environment amplifies illusion. Instant communication gives the false sense that everything is reachable, yet connection is not control. The Stoic learns to use technology as extension, not identity. The phone becomes tool, not tether. When expectation collapses, the untrained curse fate. The Stoic recalibrates. They do not mourn the plan, they adjust the path. Adaptation becomes instinct. This makes them appear unshakable, but it is simply realism disciplined into reflex. Emotional detachment from outcomes strengthens consistency. Those driven by result oscillate between elation and despair. The Stoic remains steady, valuing process over applause. When fortune shifts, their standard remains identical. Do what is right, endure what is not. The illusion of control collapses most during loss. A loved one departs, wealth declines, or reputation fades. The Stoic does not fight the inevitable. They practice graceful endurance. Grief becomes proof of love, not rebellion against mortality. Acceptance turns suffering into reverence. Economic uncertainty tests the same principle. Markets turn, industries shift, plans dissolve. The disciplined individual protects what they can, skill, adaptability, ethics, and releases the rest. Worry does not stabilize markets. Discipline stabilizes character. Control illusion thrives on comparison. When attention fixates on others' progress, envy grows. The Stoic withdraws attention to their lane. They compete only with their prior self. Progress measured internally cannot be stolen. Stoic practice includes voluntary exposure to unpredictability, travel with minimal plan, train under varied conditions, learn new skills outside comfort. These exercises loosen attachment to predictability and harden resilience. To live without the illusion of control is to live without fear. The person who accepts uncertainty cannot be threatened by it. This creates an aura of serenity, mistaken for luck, but earned through discipline. Decision-making improves when control illusions die. The Stoic sees probabilities, not promises. They act with full commitment while expecting fluctuation. This mindset produces rational boldness, courage anchored in reality. Each morning, the Stoic affirms their domain: thoughts, choices, effort, nothing else. This affirmation replaces anxiety with precision. Throughout the day, whenever emotion rises over what lies outside command, they whisper the rule, "Not mine." To break illusion, one must practice letting go daily, refuse to dwell on delay, opinion, or fortune, redirect to craft, exercise, study, or service. The disciplined person becomes productive through surrender. Acceptance does not mean indifference. It means engagement without attachment. The Stoic fights hard while knowing the outcome belongs to chance. This paradox forms calm power, relentless effort, zero entitlement. The world respects those who remain unmoved by chaos. People seek guidance from those who act without panic. This is how mastery spreads, not through words but through posture under pressure. The illusion of control ends when gratitude replaces entitlement. Each event is seen as opportunity for virtue. If insulted, practice patience. If delayed, practice stillness. If defeated, practice persistence. Life ceases to be adversary and becomes instructor. Breaking control illusion reveals true scale. The self is a single part of nature's order. The Stoic aligns with that order instead of resisting it. This alignment produces inner harmony. To fight nature is madness. To cooperate with it is wisdom. Through this breaking, the person gains unshakable direction. They act cleanly, without friction from outcome. Their peace does not depend on success, and their failure cannot corrupt principle. This is command without delusion, the quiet force of the Stoic mind. Chapter 3. Break the comfort dependency. Comfort is the quiet killer of strength. It speaks softly, promising rest, ease, and security, but beneath that softness lies decay. The Stoic understands that every comfort unearned weakens resolve, every indulgence without purpose dulls discipline. Breaking the dependency on comfort is not an act of denial, it is an act of preservation. Strength cannot coexist with addiction to ease. Modern life worships comfort. Entire industries are built to remove friction from every task. Food arrives without effort, entertainment without thought, validation without merit. The mind adapts to this abundance by losing endurance. The body becomes fragile, the will becomes timid, and the soul forgets its purpose. The Stoic rejects this trend. They see comfort for what it is, a slow erosion of potential. Discomfort is the forge of identity. A person who voluntarily faces difficulty rewires their nature. They stop fleeing challenge and begin seeking it. Hardship becomes fuel, not threat. To the Stoic, every trial is an invitation to grow stronger, every struggle a classroom for virtue. They train the body to endure and the mind to stay steady, because comfort is never the goal. Clarity is. To break the dependency on comfort, one must first expose it. Look for the patterns that steal resilience: the endless scrolling, the second snooze alarm, the skipped workout, the avoided conversation. Each small surrender compounds into weakness. The Stoic audits their life daily to locate these leaks of will. Once identified, they are closed without negotiation. Comfort offers an illusion of peace but delivers stagnation. The Stoic seeks tension, not turmoil, the kind of tension that stretches potential. Just as a muscle requires resistance to grow, the character requires hardship. When effort vanishes, decay begins. The disciplined mind refuses to drift into the narcotic of ease. Every day presents a choice between growth and decay. Growth requires friction. Comfort requires nothing. The Stoic understands that the pursuit of ease is the rejection of progress. They choose challenge because it preserves vitality. They know that the person who avoids difficulty becomes dependent on circumstances remaining soft. The one who seeks discomfort becomes independent of conditions altogether. The body is the first battleground against comfort. Modern convenience has removed almost every natural struggle. The Stoic reverses this by creating deliberate strain. They train until breath shortens and muscles burn. They fast to regain control of appetite. They expose themselves to cold to remember their resilience. Each act of voluntary hardship reclaims command over instinct. Training the body trains the mind. When the body learns that pain is survivable, the mind learns that fear is negotiable. Endurance in one domain transfers to all others. The Stoic views physical hardship as a rehearsal for emotional storms. Sweat builds composure. Fatigue builds focus. Repetition builds patience. Comfort dependency often hides behind productivity. People avoid restlessness by filling time with trivial work. Busyness becomes an anesthetic for avoidance. The Stoic distinguishes between motion and progress. Motion is comfort disguised as discipline. Progress demands discomfort because it challenges limitation. To eliminate false effort, they strip tasks down to essentials. What actually strengthens, not what simply occupies. The mind addicted to comfort avoids silence. It fears the confrontation with its own thoughts. The Stoic makes silence a companion. In stillness, distractions dissolve and truth surfaces. They sit without stimulus until the mind stops reaching for escape. That is where control begins. To live without comfort dependency is not to live without pleasure. It is to refuse enslavement to it. Pleasure can be enjoyed when it is earned. The Stoic does not despise comfort. They assign it its place. Rest follows effort. Reward follows labor. Pleasure detached from purpose becomes poison. The daily regimen of the Stoic is designed to interrupt complacency. They rise early, train hard, and work with precision. They schedule discomfort deliberately, tasks that stretch skill, conversations that test courage, physical challenges that humble the ego. Each day becomes a field of controlled adversity. This rhythm keeps decay at bay. Breaking comfort requires a redefinition of pain. Pain is not always harm. Often it is adaptation. The Stoic learns to differentiate between destructive suffering and constructive struggle. The former drains, the latter builds. Most avoid both, and in doing so, remain untested. The disciplined person embraces the useful form and discards the rest. A simple practice. Once a day, do something that makes you uncomfortable. Take the cold shower. Speak the hard truth. Choose the stairs. Skip the indulgence. Each act is a reminder that comfort does not rule you. Over weeks, this becomes instinct, the default posture of a strong mind. Comfort is contagious. Society rewards softness because softness is profitable. The Stoic resists this contagion through example. They do not preach hardship. They embody it. Their discipline radiates through routine. Their calm under stress inspires others to reclaim their edge. Resistance builds hierarchy in the mind. When you do what is difficult first, everything after feels light. The Stoic structures each day accordingly. The hardest work happens early, when willpower is fresh. Momentum follows challenge. By nightfall, they have conquered not the world, but themselves. Modern convenience breeds entitlement. People expect results without struggle, recognition without mastery, and peace without sacrifice. The Stoic dismantles entitlement by living in reality's terms. They earn through labor. They accept that the universe owes them nothing and gives them opportunity instead. Comfort creates fragility. Fragility breeds fear. Fear drives control-seeking. The Stoic breaks this loop by embracing exposure. They put themselves in unpredictable situations, travel alone, learn new crafts, speak before crowds, until novelty loses its threat. Adaptability replaces anxiety. Breaking comfort dependency sharpens gratitude. When nothing is guaranteed, every comfort feels like a gift. The disciplined person enjoys warmth because they have felt cold, enjoys food because they have known hunger, enjoys rest because they have earned exhaustion. Gratitude intensifies when comfort is rare. The Stoic keeps a philosophy of thresholds. They train near their edge, not in reckless excess, but in steady expansion. Each week they test one area a little further. Faster runs, longer fasts, deeper focus. The edge moves outward. Complacency cannot survive constant calibration. To sever comfort addiction, one must dismantle the myth of balance. Life is not meant to feel even, it is meant to feel alive. The Stoic accepts asymmetry, seasons of work, seasons of recovery, seasons of silence. They respect rhythm, not comfort. Balance is achieved through motion, not rest. Comfort dulls judgment. The person who always feels good forgets how to discern what matters. The Stoic maintains a certain level of hunger, metaphorical and literal. Hunger sharpens perception. A slightly uncomfortable mind remains awake, scanning for truth instead of pleasure. Hardship cleans identity. When you suffer voluntarily, you discover what remains when excuses fall. The Stoic seeks this purification regularly. Through effort, they meet the uncorrupted self, the one that does not require validation or permission. That encounter is worth every strain. Comfort is often emotional, not physical. People seek constant affirmation, constant reassurance. The Stoic rejects dependence on external comfort. They build an internal approval system governed by virtue. Praise becomes irrelevant. Integrity becomes the only mirror they trust. In relationships, comfort can become complacency. The Stoic keeps presence active. They practice listening instead of drifting, honesty instead of appeasement, and gratitude instead of assumption. Love requires effort. Friendship requires renewal. Comfort without effort becomes neglect. Breaking comfort also means breaking predictability. Routine brings order, but excessive routine breeds dullness. The Stoic injects controlled chaos to stay adaptable. They vary environment, change training stimuli, learn from unfamiliar domains. Flexibility becomes armor. Comfort dependency makes the mind slow to recover. The Stoic counters this by practicing rapid reset. When disrupted, they return to breath and focus within seconds. This agility keeps life fluid. Delays vanish when the mind stops arguing with inconvenience. Those who chase comfort never find rest. Their peace depends on perfect conditions. The Stoic achieves rest in motion. They can be calm amid noise, composed amid conflict, grounded amid uncertainty. Real rest is internal equilibrium, not external softness. Comfort rewires ambition into distraction. The easy path is lined with small pleasures that prevent large achievements. The Stoic uses delay of gratification as training. They postpone the lesser reward to earn the greater. In this restraint, They reclaim control of desire. The Stoic also uses hardship as contrast. A week of effort makes 1 hour of rest sacred. A day of fasting makes 1 meal divine. Deprivation refines appreciation. Comfort regained through discipline becomes magnified in meaning. Breaking comfort is not about suffering endlessly. It is about reclaiming choice. The person addicted to ease no longer chooses, they obey. The disciplined person decides when to rest and when to strain. Their freedom lies in control of both. Modern Stoicism transforms comfort into tool. The disciplined use rest strategically, pleasure intentionally, and leisure constructively. Nothing owns them. They can step into ease and step out without loss of momentum. The mind that breaks comfort dependency moves with precision. It wastes no energy on avoidance. It treats adversity as calibration. It sees failure as feedback. Each difficulty encountered becomes data for evolution. As comfort dependency fades, resilience emerges naturally. Stress no longer feels hostile, it feels familiar. The Stoic meets challenge with composure born from rehearsal. The threshold for chaos rises. The world's noise loses volume. Breaking comfort dependency restores purity to ambition. Goals regain meaning because effort returns to them. The Stoic chases mastery, not convenience. They measure themselves by discipline sustained under fatigue, by composure sustained under pressure. The highest form of freedom is independence from ease. When comfort no longer governs action, one becomes unstoppable. The Stoic walks through adversity unbent, through uncertainty unafraid, through temptation untouched. They have broken the chain that binds most, the need to feel good before doing what must be done. This is the discipline that reclaims human power, to act without ideal conditions, to persist without encouragement, to advance without comfort. In that posture, greatness begins. The battle against comfort begins the moment you wake. The bed is warm, the air is still, and the first thought whispers negotiation. The Stoic kills the negotiation instantly. They rise before the mind can argue. The first victory of the day is not against the clock, but against hesitation. Movement begins where comfort tries to end it. Each morning is a test of command. Stretching opens the body, breathing opens the mind, and push-ups or sit-ups ignite the system. These acts are not for vanity, they are for alignment. The body must be taught obedience so that the mind remembers its authority. To delay is to lose ground. To act immediately is to seize momentum. The floor becomes the training ground for discipline. The body is the vessel of philosophy. A weak vessel cannot carry a strong mind. Every repetition, every bead of sweat, every controlled breath is a form of meditation. The Stoic uses exercise as daily proof that control is real. Fatigue argues for rest, but the disciplined continue. Pain pleads for retreat, but the will advances. This struggle is sacred. Morning training is war preparation. The world will bring resistance, people, setbacks, noise. The Stoic preempts this by creating voluntary resistance. Push-ups become the symbol of defiance. Sit-ups remind the core to hold under pressure. Stretching teaches patience in discomfort. Each action becomes a ritual of readiness. There is no room for excuses. Fatigue, time, or mood are lies comfort tells to preserve weakness. The Stoic answers with motion. 10 push-ups when tired are worth more than 100 when inspired. The act itself, not the feeling, defines mastery. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. The body and mind are partners in sovereignty. When the body resists command, the mind decays in sympathy. When the body obeys, the mind sharpens. Strength training, running, or calisthenics are not hobbies. They are philosophy expressed through muscle. The Stoic treats their workout as counsel with the self. Physical training breaks illusions of entitlement. The barbell does not care about status. The road does not negotiate with complaints. The floor accepts only repetition. In this purity, ego dissolves and truth remains. You are exactly as disciplined as your last rep. A strong body creates a silent mind. The fatigue that follows exertion erases anxiety. Movement drains restlessness. The Stoic trains daily not to chase a physique, but to neutralize chaos. When the body is under control, the spirit stands taller. A calm mind lives easiest inside a trained form. Stretching before dawn rewires discipline at the deepest level. It teaches the art of gradual expansion, the same principle that governs growth in all areas. Each inch gained through tension mirrors patience in difficulty. Flexibility becomes a physical metaphor for adaptability. Push-ups represent confrontation. Each descent is an act of humility, each rise an act of defiance. The body yields to gravity only to overcome it. This daily dialogue with resistance becomes spiritual. The Stoic greets the floor as opponent and teacher. Sit-ups forge the core not only of the body, but of the will. The midsection is the center of control, where posture, breath, and motion converge. Strength there breeds stability in thought. A disciplined core steadies the entire frame, physically and mentally. Routine becomes armor. When you begin each day with movement, you enter the world already in command. The first decision, discipline over delay, sets tone for all others. The Stoic knows that the pattern of victory is established before sunrise. Some mornings will feel heavier than others. The body will ache, the will may flicker. These are not failures, they are the true training. To act without desire, to move without motivation, to execute without comfort. This is mastery in its purest form. The one who only moves when inspired remains a slave to mood. The disciplined body rejects fragility. It learns to suffer correctly. Sweat becomes the language of resilience. Each drop testifies that comfort has been conquered again. The Stoic carries this quiet confidence into every decision. The physical becomes the psychological. Aging offers no excuse. Strength adapts. The Stoic trains within limits, but never stops training. To neglect the body is to surrender the throne of command. A fit mind requires circulation, clarity, rhythm. Movement sustains them all. The older the body, the greater the need for motion. Workouts must be deliberate. Random effort is chaos. Structured effort is order. The Stoic defines the number of sets, the pace, the rest. Even in exercise, precision rules. Sloppiness in training predicts sloppiness in thought. Every rep is an opportunity to practice accuracy. Training is meditation under stress. In the rhythm of repetition, thoughts dissolve. The mind narrows to breath, form, and count. This state of focused silence is Stoic serenity in motion. It cannot be purchased. It must be earned through effort. Comfort tempts the mind to skip small disciplines. The Stoic never skips. The skipped morning compounds into a skipped week. The skipped week erodes the standard. Consistency is the real objective, never missing twice. Never negotiating with comfort twice. When soreness arrives, the Stoic sees proof of work, not a signal to stop. Recovery is respected, but not idolized. Rest is earned, scheduled, and purposeful. Indulgent rest is disguised decay. The mind must not confuse repair with retreat. Every act of physical effort carries symbolic weight. The Stoic does push-ups for focus, sit-ups for resolve, stretching for patience, running for endurance. These are not workouts, they are declarations. Each movement says, "I do not serve comfort, it serves me." Discipline in training spills into diet. The Stoic eats for function, not indulgence. Food becomes fuel, not entertainment. Taste is secondary to clarity. Moderation replaces craving. The mind sharpened by restraint directs the fork as surely as it directs thought. Water replaces stimulants. Early sunlight replaces screens. Stillness replaces distraction. The physical environment becomes a laboratory of control. The Stoic refines every sensory input until life itself feels clean. When training, the Stoic listens to fatigue but never obeys it blindly. They read the body's language without emotional distortion. Pain warns, suffering trains. The art lies in knowing the difference. Wisdom and endurance coexist only when judgment governs exertion. Each repetition teaches accountability. No one can do your push-ups for you. No one can breathe for you. The Stoic relishes this independence. Training becomes the daily reminder that control is self-generated, not granted. The mirror loses importance. Numbers matter less than consistency. The Stoic measures progress by obedience to routine, not by visible results. External change follows internal mastery, always in that order. The first minutes after waking are decisive. The Stoic stands, stretches and begins. No phone, no conversation, no hesitation. 10 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, steady breath. This ritual rewires instinct from comfort to command. It teaches the mind that choice precedes feeling. Comfort will always whisper compromise. Tomorrow, later, rest. The Stoic replies with movement. One act, however small, breaks the chain. 5 push-ups destroy hesitation better than an hour of contemplation. Momentum is built by defiance. Exercise also anchors perspective. Heavy breathing reminds you of mortality. Racing pulse reminds you of vitality. The heart's beat under strain proves you are alive. The Stoic sees in this pulse both urgency and serenity, the reminder that time is limited and motion sacred. Training in solitude reveals truth. There is no applause, no witness, no audience, only repetition. The Stoic grows comfortable in that silence. They learn to perform without praise, to improve without validation. This isolation becomes power. The gym, the field, the home floor, each becomes a temple of reason. The tools differ, the lesson does not. Resistance builds virtue. Effort purifies distraction. Sweat sanctifies discipline. The Stoic leaves each session cleaner in spirit. To maintain discipline, the Stoic tracks performance simply. Completion, intensity, integrity. No excuses logged, only outcomes. Reflection follows each session. What did I resist? Where did I relent? What will I refine tomorrow? This feedback loop replaces self-criticism with self-command. A trained body carries a message to the world. Order lives here. The Stoic walks differently, speaks differently, works differently. Others sense it. Strength radiates quietly, but undeniably. It cannot be imitated by words or clothing, only by repetition and resolve. When illness or injury strikes, the Stoic adapts. If the legs fail, the arms train. If the arms fail, the breath trains. If the breath falters, the mind endures. There is always something to strengthen. Excuse is the language of comfort. Adaptation is the language of mastery. The fight against comfort never ends. Each morning, it renews itself. Each act of motion is a line drawn between who you are and who you refuse to become. The Stoic welcomes this eternal war, for in that war, life remains sharp, clear, and worthy of command. Chapter 4. Break the ego's narrative. Ego is the most sophisticated form of delusion. It disguises itself as identity, conviction, and pride, but beneath its language lies fragility. The Stoic studies this construct not with anger, but with precision. To dismantle ego is to dissect the machinery that distorts reality. Ego feeds on approval, grows through comparison, and hides behind certainty. It must be exposed, examined, and starved. Modern culture feeds ego with constant reflection. Screens turn existence into performance. Every moment becomes a product, every opinion a weapon, every silence an absence to be filled. The individual becomes audience to their own display. The Stoic rejects this theater. They act without witness. They build without broadcast. They understand that what needs to be seen is rarely what needs to be done. Ego thrives on narrative. It constructs a story where the self is central, heroic, and misunderstood. This story protects weakness with drama. It transforms criticism into betrayal, failure into injustice. The Stoic removes the story. They strip events of interpretation and view them as data, neutral, instructional, indifferent. Once the narrative collapses, clarity returns. To break ego's narrative, one must first see its fingerprints. It speaks in subtle tones. You deserve, you know, you've earned. It urges validation and fears invisibility. The Stoic counters with reality. Deserve nothing, earn everything, know nothing, learn constantly, seek silence, not spotlight. Ego dies in the absence of attention. The mind infected by ego cannot observe, it can only react. It interprets disagreement as threat and correction as insult. The Stoic, unburdened by ego, welcomes both. They view feedback as calibration, not condemnation. They prefer exposure to ignorance over protection by illusion. Ego craves certainty because uncertainty reveals inadequacy. The Stoic replaces certainty with curiosity. To admit ignorance is strength. To deny it is decay. Humility becomes not a virtue of politeness, but a weapon against delusion. Knowledge expands only in those who accept how little they possess. Ego demands ownership of credit. It clings to recognition as proof of existence. The Stoic disassembles this need. Work is its own reward. Excellence is duty, not advertisement. They execute in silence, knowing that validation corrupts purpose. Praise inflates the same way failure deflates. The disciplined mind avoids both. Comparison is ego's main infection vector. It replaces growth with envy. It measures self-worth by the shadows of others. The Stoic eliminates this metric entirely. They compete only with their own potential, not with illusions of external rank. Comparison blinds, focus liberates. In solitude, ego suffocates. It cannot survive without an audience. This is why the Stoic seeks solitude deliberately alone. There is no applause, no defense, no display. Only the self remains, stripped of roles. What remains after that stripping is reality. If the silence feels unbearable, the ego still rules. The Stoic trains to act as if unseen, to succeed as if unrecorded, to serve as if forgotten. When recognition becomes irrelevant, power becomes real. The invisible work builds the visible strength. The invisible discipline sustains the visible calm. Ego cannot comprehend invisible reward, and thus perishes. Ego hides behind language. It fills conversation with exaggeration and defense. The Stoic chooses economy of speech. They speak to clarify, not to convince. Words become instruments, not ornaments. The fewer words needed, the stronger the position. Every correction tests ego. The moment another points out error, the untrained mind burns with justification. The Stoic instead pauses. Correction is a mirror. To resist reflection is to prefer ignorance. They study the correction for truth, discard the tone, and apply the lesson. The ego's favorite weapon is memory. It replays old victories to prove relevance and old wounds to sustain importance. The Stoic deletes these loops. They live in present function, not past validation. Yesterday is archived. Today is the only credible field of action. Ego fragments perception. It filters everything through self-interest. Even generosity becomes performance if ego narrates it. The Stoic acts cleanly. No audience, no symbolism, no moral theater. Virtue requires no spectators. The act is complete once done. Ego distorts learning. It refuses to appear ignorant and thus remains ignorant. The Stoic seeks constant correction. They question assumptions, reread lessons, and invite challenge. They do not defend opinion, they refine it. Growth demands ego's death repeatedly. Ego's disguise of confidence is arrogance. True confidence operates quietly. It rests on competence, not volume. The Stoic moves with calm assurance because they are anchored in practice, not perception. Arrogance requires witnesses. Confidence survives alone. Pride in control is ego's cleverest trap. The illusion of autonomy makes one forget dependence on nature, time, and circumstance. The Stoic knows they command effort, not fate. They bend to reality rather than bend it. This surrender of illusion is the essence of strength. Ego feeds on reaction. It needs opposition to define itself. The Stoic deprives it of this fuel. They respond with restraint where ego would lash out. In argument, they conserve tone. In insult, they remain still. Ego dies where attention is denied. In leadership, ego masquerades as vision. It demands loyalty instead of respect, fear instead of trust. The Stoic leader reverses this. They remove themselves from the center and place principle there instead. The group follows the standard, not the personality. In mastery, ego masquerades as certainty. The expert believes they have arrived. The Stoic knows arrival is death. Skill remains alive only in humility. The moment you stop learning, ego begins rebuilding. Constant revision is the antidote. To break ego's narrative, self-observation must be ruthless. Watch thoughts without defense. Identify where image dictates action. Every moment spent protecting perception is a moment lost to progress. Record these lapses as evidence of ego's interference. Detach from labels, titles, ranks, reputations. These are scaffolds that trap the mind. The Stoic prefers anonymity. Freedom begins when the name matters less than the deed. When recognition fades, clarity returns. Modern validation culture turns insecurity into currency. Likes, views, and approval simulate worth. The Stoic refuses the trade. They measure their day not by reaction, but by integrity. No statistic measures alignment with virtue. Ego uses ambition to enslave. It whispers that greatness is recognition by others. The Stoic redefines greatness as mastery of self. The external throne is unstable. The internal throne endures. The mind ruled by reason governs all else without needing rule over anyone. Ego distorts failure. It cannot separate loss from identity. The Stoic sees failure as raw data, not verdict. They correct course without emotional residue. To fail without collapse is to graduate from ego's classroom. Ego hijacks virtue through performance. It turns kindness into exhibition, generosity into strategy, and wisdom into posture. The Stoic performs none of these. They help without announcement, teach without self-reference, and live as if unseen. The greatest freedom is freedom from image. Once the need to appear disappears, life simplifies. Decisions become faster, goals cleaner, and action direct. Ego thrives in clutter. Clarity starves it. Humility is the precision of perception. It does not mean weakness. It means accuracy. To see oneself exactly as one is, no exaggeration, no reduction, is the height of wisdom. The Stoic calibrates self-image daily through honest audit. Ego resists stillness because stillness exposes emptiness. The Stoic embraces stillness to study it. In silence, they find where noise once hid insecurity. They fill that void with discipline, not affirmation. The narrative of ego always begins with I. The Stoic rewrites it with duty. Duty detaches action from vanity. When the task becomes central, the self becomes irrelevant. This displacement is liberation. To break ego, practice invisibility. Do great work in obscurity. Let skill replace statement. Let consistency replace promotion. The more unseen the labor, the more authentic the result. Ego cannot coexist with gratitude. Gratitude dissolves entitlement. The Stoic begins and ends each day acknowledging dependence on nature, on others, on chance. This humility neutralizes arrogance at its root. The ego hates impermanence. It wants to freeze identity and preserve status. The Stoic accepts transience as law. Everything changes. The wise change willingly. The proud break resisting it. Adaptability is the true armor. Self-deception is ego's fortress. The Stoic breaches it through brutal honesty. They name flaws without defense, correct without guilt, and move without pride. This precision builds purity. In conversation, observe how often the word I appears. Replace it with the task, the goal, or the work. Language discipline erodes ego's foundation. The more the self recedes from speech, the more reason occupies it. The end of ego's narrative is not silence, but transparency. The Stoic still speaks, acts, and leads, but without distortion, the self becomes an instrument, not an idol. In that clarity, power becomes impersonal, pure, and permanent. When ego collapses, emptiness follows. The mind feels stripped of identity, unanchored. This void is not failure, it is fertile ground. The Stoic understands that destruction clears the space required for reconstruction. What remains after ego's death is the truth of character, duty, capability, and the discipline to rise again without illusion. Rebuilding identity begins with silence. Before new structure forms, the noise must end. The Stoic withdraws from constant input, from the crowd, from validation. In the absence of distraction, the fragments of the self become visible. Observation replaces assertion. The rebuilding starts not by declaring who you are, but by studying who remains. The first pillar of reconstruction is virtue without ego. Motive becomes clean. Every action must now serve reason and integrity, not impression. The Stoic defines identity not by title or memory, but by conduct. They ask only one question: does this align with virtue? The answer shapes the next step. Discipline becomes the second pillar. It transforms emptiness into structure. Routine gives shape to recovery. Rising early, maintaining order, committing to tasks, these create rhythm where chaos once lived. Discipline reintroduces self-trust. The mind begins to recognize itself as reliable again. The third pillar is service. Ego isolates, service reconnects. The Stoic shifts focus from self to contribution. They act to improve systems, aid others, refine processes. Purpose replaces pride. This outward orientation prevents the self from recentering as idle. With these three pillars, virtue, discipline, service, the new identity stands firm. It no longer depends on perception. Its foundation lies within behavior, not opinion. The Stoic measures progress by alignment with principles, not applause. The structure is invisible, but unshakable. To operate in modern life after ego collapse, the Stoic simplifies ambition. Instead of seeking to be known, they aim to be effective. Instead of chasing recognition, they chase precision. This inversion of motive rewires ambition into mastery. The world still sees performance. The Stoic sees process. Rebuilding identity requires patience. Ego, rebuilt too quickly, returns as arrogance. The Stoic practices restraint in self-definition. They allow new qualities to emerge naturally through repetition. Let consistency speak. Let endurance describe you. Let your habits build your biography. The post-ego identity is quiet. It does not announce transformation. It moves without declaration, creating impact through presence, not persuasion. This calm force draws strength from restraint. The Stoic has nothing to prove because they have already been broken and rebuilt. Rebuilding also demands detachment from the past. Old roles, achievements, and failures must remain archived. The Stoic does not resurrect them as identity markers. Memory serves as data, not decoration. They look forward through principle, not backward through nostalgia. Every action in the new life becomes a reflection of alignment. Work is performed cleanly, speech measured, reactions minimal. The external world may not notice immediately, but over time, consistency exposes transformation. The absence of chaos becomes its own signal. The Stoic learns to rebuild confidence through evidence. Each small promise kept replaces insecurity. Each challenge met without complaint adds strength to the framework. Confidence becomes cumulative, not emotion, but proof. Doubt fades as record of discipline grows. The rebuilding process also involves boundaries. Ego sought validation everywhere, scattering attention. The disciplined mind guards focus. They say no more often, withdraw from trivial disputes, and conserve energy for meaningful work. Boundaries become the architecture of clarity. The new self does not chase belonging. It cultivates solitude as strength. Solitude provides calibration, allowing constant review of motive and direction. The Stoic learns to enjoy their own company because silence no longer accuses, it instructs. As identity reforms, humility remains the regulator. Each success is viewed as function, not fortune. Gratitude replaces pride. The Stoic thanks effort, time, and chance for each victory. This awareness protects against relapse into ego. A practical method for rebuilding identity. Define 5 principles to govern action: truth, effort, patience, service, and order. Each morning, review them. Each night, audit behavior against them. This keeps reconstruction measurable and grounded. The rebuilt identity values competence over appearance. It seeks mastery in execution, not admiration in style. The Stoic polishes skill quietly until excellence becomes habit. Recognition, if it comes, is irrelevant. The work remains the true mirror. Self-respect becomes the new currency. The Stoic trades external approval for internal verification. Each day lived according to principle deposits. Strength over time, this account grows unassailable. No insult, failure, or loss can bankrupt it. Rebuilding identity also redefines relationship to status. The Stoic sees hierarchy as functional, not existential. They respect position without submission and lead without vanity. They engage society as participant, not performer. Titles lose power when character governs. The absence of ego creates space for precision. The mind, unburdened by self-importance, processes reality cleanly. Decisions improve because data is uncolored by pride. This clarity amplifies efficiency. The Stoic accomplishes more by caring less about image recovery. From ego collapse, reshapes ambition into discipline. The goal ceases to be greatness. It becomes correctness. Each task completed with accuracy becomes a quiet triumph. The accumulation of these precise acts produces lasting strength. The Stoic learns to balance humility with initiative. They do not shrink from challenge. They simply act without dramatizing effort. Action becomes pure, uncontaminated by desire for recognition or fear of failure. Work in itself is the highest form of self-expression. Modern life still demands function, but the Stoic now operates detached from identity performance. They can lead teams, pursue goals, and manage ambition without inner distortion. They act, adapt, adjust, all without attachment to image. This is what freedom feels like in motion. As identity stabilizes, resilience becomes its hallmark. The rebuilt self absorbs feedback without collapse. They no longer take offense because their sense of self no longer depends on approval. Every critique becomes instruction. The stronger the feedback, the faster the growth. Gratitude deepens during reconstruction. When ego falls, everything regained feels earned. Simple stability becomes luxury. The Stoic values small wins as confirmations of order restored. Gratitude anchors ambition in perspective. Rebuilding also transforms relationships. The new self no longer seeks validation from others. Love, friendship, and respect are now chosen, not begged for. The Stoic gives affection without expectation. They connect through principle, not dependency. To maintain integrity after reconstruction, vigilance is required. Ego regrows in small gestures, in self-congratulation, in subtle comparisons, in quiet pride. The Stoic checks these impulses daily. Awareness prevents relapse. Service to others remains central in post-ego identity. Teaching, mentoring, creating value, these acts replace self-advertisement. The Stoic recognizes that contribution sustains purpose longer than recognition. Service keeps the ego dormant. The new identity interacts with the world through calm competence. It commands respect without demanding it. People trust those who act without agenda. The Stoic's neutrality becomes magnetic. Authority flows naturally from stability. In decision-making, the Stoic uses the triad: reason, virtue, and proportion. Reason ensures logic, virtue ensures ethics, and proportion ensures perspective. Ego violates all three. The rebuilt self guards them. This formula keeps action aligned with reality. The rebuilt self is immune to both flattery and insult. Praise does not inflate, criticism does not wound. Balance replaces volatility. The Stoic stands equidistant from both extremes, centered in purpose. Reconstruction ends not in triumph, but in equilibrium. There is no announcement, no revelation, only calm continuity. The person functions, builds, endures, and refines. Greatness hides inside consistency. In the aftermath of ego, simplicity feels divine. Complexity once fed the ego's appetite. Simplicity feeds clarity. The Stoic reduces life to essentials: meaningful work, disciplined health, enduring principles. Everything else becomes optional. The final phase of rebuilding is transmission. The Stoic teaches through example, not instruction. Others witness steadiness and seek its source. Influence arises from integrity, not image. This is leadership reborn. Rebuilt identity is not a mask, it is a mirror. It reflects the discipline behind it. It shows alignment between thought, word, and deed. It requires no defense because it contradicts nothing within itself. In this harmony, ego finds no foothold. What replaces ego is sovereignty, the quiet ownership of self. The Stoic who has rebuilt stands unmoved by praise, unharmed by insult, and untempted by indulgence. They act according to principle alone. The reconstruction is complete when peace feels natural and pride feels foreign. Chapter 5. Break the fear of failure and loss. Fear is the oldest opponent of strength. It disguises itself as caution, prudence, and preparation, but beneath every mask lies paralysis. The Stoic confronts fear not as emotion to be erased, but as energy to be mastered. The mind that learns to look at fear directly removes its power. To break fear is to reclaim motion. Failure and loss are not the enemies of the Stoic. They are instructors. The untrained mind sees them as punishment. The trained mind sees them as data. Each defeat, each collapse, each grief delivers instruction unavailable to comfort. The Stoic seeks that instruction relentlessly because the lessons written in pain are the ones carved deepest. The fear of failure begins in illusion, the belief that outcomes define worth. The Stoic knows that only action belongs to them, never result. Control ends at the moment of execution. The outcome belongs to fate. When this truth is accepted fully, fear loses terrain. You cannot fear what you never owned. Loss reveals attachment. The pain felt when something leaves shows where identity was invested. The Stoic studies that pain as evidence. They ask, what part of me depended on what was lost? If the answer is anything essential, reconstruction begins there. Nothing external should have the ability to dismantle the internal. The modern world rewards fear. It sells safety, guarantees, and security. Entire economies thrive on avoidance of uncertainty. The Stoic refuses that transaction. They trade false safety for true capability. Security purchased through avoidance decays. Security built through discipline endures. Fear shrinks perception. It makes the future appear larger than it is and the self smaller. The Stoic corrects this distortion through exposure. They step closer to what intimidates until its edges blur. Every confrontation reduces size. Fear only dominates from distance. The warrior within the Stoic treats fear as sparring partner. Each encounter is practice. Fear sharpens readiness. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is precision under its pressure. The pulse quickens, breath tightens, but focus remains steady. That steadiness is victory. To dismantle fear, begin with naming. Vague fear multiplies. Defined fear shrinks. Write what you fear. Loss, rejection, failure, ridicule. Read it aloud. Observe it without retreat. The mind begins to see that fear is thought, not fact. Naming converts chaos into target. The Stoic does not chase invincibility. They pursue immunity through acceptance. Loss will come, failure will arrive. They prepare by rehearsing both mentally and physically. Visualizing defeat removes its surprise. When the worst has been seen in advance, the present becomes manageable. Courage is built through calibrated exposure. Begin small. Face the minor risks first. An uncomfortable conversation, a difficult task, a public mistake. Then expand. Fear fades through familiarity. Each repetition teaches the nervous system that survival is probable. Repetition is reprogramming. Failure is laboratory, not verdict. The Stoic dissects it clinically. What variable failed? What assumption broke? What behavior repeated error? They remove emotion from diagnosis. Shame clouds clarity. Precision replaces regret. Loss, too, must be studied. The Stoic examines grief without indulgence. They allow emotion its course, but not its command. Mourning is natural. Despair is optional. Through disciplined grief, gratitude grows. The memory of what was lost becomes instruction, not anchor. Fear of judgment is the most common prison. The Stoic escapes it through principle. They measure actions against virtue, not opinion. Approval is unstable currency. Integrity remains inflation-proof. The person ruled by conscience cannot be ruled by crowd. Modern ambition breeds fragile courage. People chase success under conditions that guarantee comfort. The Stoic seeks conditions that guarantee growth. They choose paths that require risk because risk verifies commitment. The one who risks nothing achieves nothing that lasts. Fear intensifies before thresholds. The closer one stands to transformation, the louder comfort screams. The Stoic interprets this as signal, not warning. Resistance indicates importance. Every great step forward requires walking through the tremor. The Stoic trains body and mind together against fear. Hard physical effort teaches the body to move under distress. Cold, fatigue, and strain become allies. The mind learns that panic is optional. Physical endurance births emotional courage. The link between breath and bravery is real. Failure handled well becomes immunity. Each setback processed with logic reduces fear of the next. Resilience is built through post-mortem, not denial. The Stoic demands report from every defeat. Where others hide, they analyze. Where others grieve endlessly, they adapt. Fear collapses under evidence of competence. Skill erases hesitation. The Stoic trains relentlessly until execution replaces anxiety. Mastery is the antidote to terror. When ability is sharpened, risk becomes calculation, not gamble. Loss clarifies value. When something ends, illusion ends with it. The Stoic uses this clarity to refine gratitude. They thank what was and release it cleanly. Possession ends, appreciation remains. This is emotional order. Mortality is the ultimate loss, and thus the final fear. The Stoic rehearses it daily, not morbidly, but logically. To remember death is to remember urgency. Each day lived with death in mind gains sharpness. The trivial dissolves. What remains is purpose. To break fear, the Stoic practices negative visualization. They imagine loss of health, fortune, loved ones, not to suffer them twice, but to soften the blow should they occur. This inoculation preserves function under shock. Preparedness is the armor of peace. Every fear can be tracked to attachment to comfort, status, permanence. The Stoic cuts these cords through self-sufficiency. They own little, expect little, and thus lose little. Simplicity is immunity. Failure does not wound the Stoic's identity because their worth was never stored in success. They see effort as duty. Success is enjoyed but not required. Failure is endured but not fatal. Identity anchored in process cannot be shaken by outcome. Fear of rejection dissolves through honesty. The Stoic speaks truth as obligation, not performance. If rejected, they lose illusion, not dignity. Honesty filters environment, leaving only what aligns with integrity. Fewer connections, higher quality. Loss teaches impermanence. The Stoic does not resist time's erosion, they align with it. Relationships evolve, fortunes shift, strength fades, but virtue can improve until the final breath. This is the art of aging without bitterness. To lead fearlessly, one must accept exposure. The Stoic leader makes peace with blame and scrutiny. Leadership is isolation by design. The disciplined accept this loneliness as price of responsibility. Fear cannot manipulate those who expect hardship. Failure humbles arrogance. The Stoic uses it to grind pride into precision. Each humiliation becomes recalibration. They thank adversity for erasing illusion. Comfort never corrects, failure always instructs. The Stoic's method against fear is simplicity of focus. What is within control? Thought, effort, will. Everything else, fortune, opinion, outcome, remains external. Narrow focus is liberation. A small sphere of mastery replaces infinite anxiety. When others freeze, the Stoic moves. Action interrupts fear's monologue. Even one step, one call, one breath shifts momentum. Motion dissolves paralysis. Cowardice thrives in contemplation. Courage is kinetic. Fear loses power in community of courage. The Stoic surrounds themselves with disciplined minds. People who act without complaint. Strength multiplies when mirrored. Shared resilience erases isolation. The greatest illusion is that fear can be eliminated. It cannot. It can only be commanded. The Stoic does not chase fearlessness. They chase functionality. They feel the tremor, but move anyway. This is real courage, obedience to reason under pressure. When loss comes, acceptance replaces resistance. Resistance multiplies pain. Acceptance condenses it. The Stoic acknowledges what is gone and moves forward, carrying wisdom, not weight. Suffering becomes a resource. To train against fear, practice voluntary exposure to uncertainty. Take on projects without guarantee. Speak truth in rooms of power. Admit ignorance publicly. Each act rewires the brain toward neutrality under pressure. This is the daily discipline of courage. Failure, repeated enough times with analysis, becomes expertise. The Stoic sees this cycle as ascension. Each iteration tightens control of response and expands tolerance for risk. The fear of failure dies where preparation begins. Loss opens perspective. What is taken exposes what cannot be taken. Character, principle, and skill survive any collapse. The Stoic invests there. Permanent assets of the soul outlast every external fortune. To live without fear is to live aligned with reality. The Stoic sees events as neutral until judgment colors them. By refusing judgment, they remove fear's foundation. The event remains. The panic dissolves. Courage matures through repetition of clarity. The more often one endures what was feared, the more ordinary it becomes. The Stoic aims to make courage habitual, not dramatic. Calm, not noise, is the sound of mastery. The warrior's peace is not soft. It is earned through confrontation. Fear breaks those who run and strengthens those who engage. The Stoic engages every day, in thought, in action, in silence. Fear remains present but powerless. At the summit of this discipline stands serenity. The Stoic walks through loss without bitterness, through failure without despair, through fear without hesitation. They are not immune to pain. They are impervious to paralysis. That is the final breaking, the end of fear's dominion, and the beginning of complete command. The final victory is not over the world, but over hesitation. When fear falls silent, life becomes command. The Stoic no longer moves in reaction to threat. They move in alignment with purpose. Each breath becomes deliberate, each act clean. The noise of doubt fades until only direction remains. This is the state beyond struggle, motion without resistance. To reach this posture, the individual must die many times, to indulgence, to control, to comfort, to ego, to fear. Each death removes illusion, each rebirth restores truth. The Stoic who has passed through all five emerges unrecognizable. They are not above life, they are within it fully, immune to its manipulation. The world loses leverage when the self becomes self-sufficient. The discipline built through hardship becomes calm in execution. Nothing feels rushed, nothing feels desperate. The Stoic acts as if they have already survived the outcome, because in principle they have. They have rehearsed failure, accepted loss, embraced discomfort, silenced ego, and faced fear. There is nothing left to threaten them. Mastery reveals its nature through restraint. The Stoic could dominate through aggression, but chooses control through composure. They no longer need to win, they only need to act correctly. Every move becomes precise, every word exact, every decision final. This is dominion without display. Peace and strength merge in this state. Peace without strength is fragility. Strength without peace is turmoil. The Stoic fuses them into equilibrium, a still force that cannot be provoked or corrupted. They move through chaos as if it were planned, through loss as if it were expected, through victory as if it were ordinary. To live without fear is not to live without risk. It is to move regardless of risk. The Stoic walks forward knowing they can lose everything but themselves, and that is enough. Freedom begins where fear ends. The person who no longer fears loss can finally live without chains. The fear of death, once supreme, now serves as reminder of urgency. Every day is sharpened by the awareness of finality. The Stoic greets mortality not as enemy, but as advisor. Time becomes a strict teacher, cutting away waste. Each hour is invested, not spent. Those who fear loss never possess fully. They cling, they protect, they hesitate. The Stoic owns by releasing. They enjoy deeply but never dependently. Every friendship, possession, and opportunity is held with open hand. Detachment enhances appreciation. The disciplined mind carries stillness into motion. In conversation, they listen completely. In crisis, they respond proportionately. In solitude, they remain content. Their calm is not indifference, it is precision of perception. They see things exactly as they are, and that sight eliminates panic. The Stoic no longer measures themselves by avoidance of pain, but by capacity for clarity within it. They can grieve without collapse, fail without despair, succeed without arrogance. Emotional stability becomes their natural climate. This level of control does not isolate, it radiates. Others sense the steadiness and anchor to it. Leadership flows naturally from composure. The Stoic's presence corrects the atmosphere. In a room of noise, silence from such a person speaks louder than command. The warrior who conquers fear no longer needs battle to prove strength. They become guardian rather than aggressor. Their weapon is judgment, their armor is patience, their terrain is time. Nothing external can grant or remove what has already been secured within. All ambition now serves purpose, not vanity. The Stoic still builds, still strives, still creates. But the motive is duty, not ego. Work becomes offering, not display. Greatness without pride becomes the highest form of order. Those still ruled by fear cannot understand calm under threat. They call it luck or denial. The Stoic knows it is neither. It is training in perception. Reality cannot harm those who see it clearly. The storm cannot drown those who learn to breathe beneath it. Breaking fear ends the cycle of reaction. The mind no longer swings between extremes of hope and dread. It stabilizes in acceptance. Every outcome becomes a variable, not a verdict. The Stoic ceases to gamble with emotion. They invest only in discipline. In this condition, loss transforms into leverage. Every event that once caused pain now strengthens principle. Rejection refines intention. Failure sharpens execution. The Stoic collects these experiences as a soldier collects scars, records of survival, not symbols of suffering. The disciplined life becomes simpler as it becomes stronger. Choices narrow to essentials. Act rightly, endure reality, maintain clarity. Complexity fades with ego. The Stoic lives efficiently, with nothing wasted, no thought, no word, no motion. From this efficiency emerges serenity. Serenity is not relaxation, it is stability. It is the ability to remain functional under all pressure. The Stoic can work while grieving, think while afraid, and decide while uncertain. Function sustained under distress is true freedom. The final test of mastery is consistency. Anyone can be composed occasionally. The Stoic is composed perpetually. Habit replaces willpower. Response becomes reflex. Virtue becomes automatic. When principle becomes instinct, the work is complete. At this point, fear ceases to exist as enemy. It becomes signal, reminding the Stoic where growth still hides. They meet fear with gratitude, not resistance. Fear shows the path. Where the discomfort is, the next improvement waits. Loss continues to arrive, but without tyranny. Each departure reinforces detachment. Each ending clarifies values. The Stoic collects wisdom from impermanence the way others collect possessions. Change becomes companion, not adversary. Failure evolves into refinement. The Stoic fails more efficiently. They do not dramatize error. They correct it. They do not repeat error. They integrate lesson. Progress accelerates where pride once slowed it. From the outside, this life appears austere. From within, it feels unburdened. The Stoic carries nothing unnecessary. They do not need to prove, display, or defend. Simplicity becomes wealth. The absence of noise becomes luxury. The state achieved after breaking is not emotionless. It is directed emotion. Love becomes service. Anger becomes correction. Sadness becomes insight. Energy once wasted in reaction is now weaponized for purpose. The Stoics' vision of greatness is self-command. They see the untrained chasing comfort, validation, and control, and they remember what it cost them to unlearn those habits. Compassion replaces judgment. Strength now protects rather than separates. In the arena of life, the Stoic stands unarmed but undefeated. Their armor is perception. Their sword is restraint. They fight only when principle demands and retreat only when wisdom dictates. Victory is measured in alignment, not applause. When fear dies, creativity rises. The mind no longer defends. It builds. The Stoic uses freedom from anxiety to create systems, art, and ideas that endure. Without fear of criticism, they speak truth. Without fear of loss, they risk excellence. Peace under fire becomes their signature. They are the calm in the center of storms, the unmoved axis around which lesser minds spin. Others mistake this steadiness for detachment, but it is simply perspective elevated beyond reaction. Each broken chain, the emotional, the controlling, the comfortable, the egotistical, the fearful, now lies behind them as proof of passage. Together they form the foundation of dominion. The Stoic does not escape humanity. They refine it to its purest form. Greatness is not loud. It is inevitable. It does not announce itself. It accumulates. The Stoic lives so cleanly that results appear without effort. Order replaces struggle. Integrity replaces ambition. This is the quiet dominance of mastery. At the summit, fear cannot follow. The Stoic breathes deeply, aware of fragility, yet unbothered by it. They see how little is needed to live, how little is required to be whole. The absence of need becomes the presence of power. The world still turns, chaos still reigns, but within the Stoic there is silence, a silence stronger than noise, a peace fiercer than aggression. This is the reward of breaking, not comfort, but command. The person who has been broken and rebuilt no longer chases greatness, they embody it.